forget that one a lot too. Sometimes it's ideas can be very abstract, and it's like this has happened in the past. It's like, well, who cares? What's in it for me?
Can I talk about that?
Sure.
I was just working on something, and I had to kind of make a call on this urgency date, which isn't very far off. It's kind of future. But then I had, you have the opportunity and option to add a limited supply and kind of double down on that urgency.
Mm-hmm.
And I was tempted to do that, but I already had the urgency date, and I didn't want to just come off as like, buy now, buy now, buy now, buy now. But it's like, I really wanted to add that limited supply. So like, I don't know what's the right answer. There never is a right answer. But like, what's the closest rule of thumb to figuring out the right answer in that situation?
I don't think you can have too much urgency. Now, where you put it in your copy, sometimes it can be overwhelming to people. If you like lead with, just think of like the rule of one, somewhat. You're talking about the state and supply, but like, the more reasons you give them to buy now, the better. So, like where you put that in your copy, maybe you send that to the end, like, oh, one more thing I didn't tell you. Like,
yeah, the date was, right there right in the lead. Like, if you do this by March 3rd, you're gonna be set. And then, like, in the last, like, I was about to close, and I was like, you know what? I only have 500. Like, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, we'll get more into that. Like, we're talking a little bit less about proof now, more about persuasive technique. So I don't know when it is. Like, it's a couple weeks from now, or maybe it's maybe next week. I can't remember. We'll get into persuasion, and that's scarcity. We can talk more about that because it's like scarcity is really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a claim that you make that like you have 500 left. Then we're talking more like how would you back that claim, make it believable, which is interesting discussion in itself because it's true scarcity versus artificial scarcity. We'll get more into that.
Before we go through each one of these pieces of proof, I think there are, no matter what sales letter you guys write, I think there's 5 things universally that you need to prove in every sales letter you write. And there's going to be 25 other things that are specific to your promo, but universal things that every single promotion has to prove. And I'm just gonna some of these are gonna be recaps of what we just talked about, but I'm gonna say them in a little bit different way. Number 1 is why listen to you. Every sales letter, no matter what it is you write, front end, back end, health, financial, survival, you need to prove why should I listen to you. And these are done in no order because they could be organized different ways. But I'm gonna just number them for sake of telling you guys those. Number 2 is this real? Number 3 is how did you, the writer of this sales letter, find this out? How did you discover this idea, this prediction, this secret? Number 4, and this is a big one in financial copy, big one, and we haven't talked about it yet. If this is so great, why the fuck are you giving it to me? That's a fucking big one. If this is so great, why are you giving it to me? I'm going to give you a really easy answer to that in just a second. Let me come back and talk about the 5th, which is why act now. So again, some of those are recaps of what we just covered. Your sales letter, no matter what you write, needs to prove out those 5 questions. Front end, back end, survival, health, financial, needs to prove out those 5. Give them to you again. Why should I listen to you? Is this real? How did you, the author, find this out? Why the fuck are you giving it to me? And why act now? So let me come back to why the fuck are you giving it to me? The easiest thing that you could say, easiest thing, this gets a little tricky with legal, so let me cover this, is that me, the author, this is stuff I'm doing with my own money, and I'm going to give you the same stuff. I'll tell you why that gets tricky here. But before I do that, you'll notice that in the End of America, that's what he says over and over again, right? Mm-hmm. These are things that I'm doing with my own money that I'm going to show you how to do too. Because there's skin in the game for both parties. That's what the reader wants to hear.
Betting the farm on the house on the farm.
Yeah.
But then still, like, if it's so great, why don't you keep it a secret just for yourself? Like,
Yeah.
why are you
So it's
still
deeper,
sharing
yeah.
it? Yeah.
So the best thing you could say to overcome that question, and the best thing you could say as proof, is these are things that I'm doing with my own money, but it's enough to go around for everybody, so I'm going to show you how to do it too. That's the best thing you can say, some variation of that. Here's where it gets problematic for legal. We as Agora Financial employees, and our guru specifically, can't own the same stocks that they're recommending. We, as copywriters, can own the stocks after a certain amount of time that the editor has recommended them, but the guru who recommends stocks can't own the stocks they recommend. So it's tough to say in a sales letter that these are the exact same things I'm doing. However, if Jim Rickards recommends ExxonMobil and buys Royal Dutch Shell for himself, you can wordsmith around that to say, I'm putting my money into these same types of investments. Do you see the wordsmithing there? So you can still prove the same concept with different words. So instead of Jim saying, I'm buying the exact same things I'm giving to you, which he can't, you could say, I've personally committed, whatever number he's personally committed, $1 million of my own money to these same strategies. So from the reader's side, they read it the same way. From the legal side, we're safe.
And we'll get more into this in the legal, because they'll come in and tell us, but like we have something called a trading policy, so the specific securities is what freaks them out, right? Like, I own this biotech, I'm promoting it in my newsletter, because they don't want people saying, like, get in this biotech and then I'm selling it right when everyone else has bought it, right? That's why they have that. But you can't, that's a trading policy only covers specific, it doesn't cover strategies, doesn't cover techniques. So if you're talking about like biotech as a whole, and like to Joe's point, oil as a whole, or an option strategy as a whole, then you can say that hopefully the editor is actually doing it. Sometimes you'll find editors that are not doing it, and that's a problem. That's something you gotta get around. Or something to consider before you take the project, because that you gotta answer that question somehow.
The readers always wonder, every single time they wonder. They may not tell you they wonder it, right? They're not gonna write into customer service, they're wondering it, believe me. You need to overwhelm them with proof on that idea somehow. Did you have a question, John?
Yes. Is it just enough to state that? I mean, how do you actually prove that? Like photocopy of a check or like some sort of.
You can, stating it is one way, right?
Right, but it's just
If
my law against yours.
Like
as
they
much
ask-
proof as
oh,
you
mean,
can give.
how do we back it up with legal?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
That's
not
different
illegal, but
than-
if, like you write a letter for Rickards, you're like, hey, I bought, these oil shell shares. I mean, how are you?
Yeah, best
enough
if you
to say
can
that
take.
because in the argument because they already believe what you're saying. Is that good enough? Or I mean, how are you?
So if you think about it, right? So you make the claim, hey, I'm doing this with my own money too.
Right.
If you could possibly show 3 different types of proof, show it, right? Here's an audited, signed off, independent brokerage, something or else, where someone said, Jim's got $1 million in oil stocks.
Right.
Here's a picture of my own account. Here's a
Right.
screenshot of my own account where I'm blacking out the names, but
Yeah.
look at all the money. And here's my best friend in the world who put his hand on the Bible and said, Jim's actually done this stuff, whatever, right? So best to show as many interesting, creative pieces of proof
Right.
about that,
Yeah, right.
other than just a
Well,
video.
we'll get to this in a little bit on this list here, but like
Okay.
stories are
Yeah.
proof.
Okay.
Stories are proof. So, like Jim could tell a story. Like, a few years ago I heard about The Secret too, and I put my money in, and I made this amount of money, and
I guess they automatically believe you when you start telling them stuff in a story like that, or is it like a sequence that you would need to kind of follow to make sure they?
it depends. I mean, that's again like, it should be a true story, but it should be a
Well,
story
yeah,
that's believable.
right.
I mean, that's kind of the $1 million question. I mean,
Right.
because if you come up with a good story that everyone believes, then it's
Right.
could be worth $1 million. So
Sure.
that's,
Let me ask you a question. So let's say like you're recommending a tech stock, right? Can you work around what we're talking about by saying my readers have so far collected X gain on this tech stock, X gain on that tech stock? Is that like a kind of like a workaround way to still kind of prove that he's invested in tech stock?
No.
Even though it's not.
It's a good way to prove that why people should listen to him, but
It's
it's
got
not
ideas.
gonna prove the statement of, if this is so great, why give it to me?
Right. Okay.
So it's good proof, but it's proof for that first question I gave. Why should I listen to you? If I'm recommending a tech stock to you, and I'm able to show you that 25 of my readers have already made money in tech stocks, then that satisfies that category. You know, why should I listen to you? Well, because you just proved to me that you know how to make other people money. It doesn't answer the question of if this is so great, why give it to me?
Okay.
I mean, that's just imagine like you're a bar, some guy approaches you and he starts talking about his real estate course of a real estate investor, and you would ask him like, well, are you doing this? Are you making any money? And he's like, no, I just sell the course. I mean, what would you think? Like, you wouldn't buy it. I mean, yeah, that's what they're waiting for. Like, that's the, like, people are very, our readers, but even customers in general, are very savvy. They, especially when it comes to their money, which is what we're talking about, they don't want to get scammed. They don't want to buy fake information that someone just made up. So it's really important. Like, they want to see that, like, the chef is eating his own cooking, right? Alright, so we're going to go through this list, and just to tell you, this list is not comprehensive. There are probably dozens of other ones. Jimmy mentioned the Bensavenga list. Everyone has their own kind of list of proof. I literally put as many as in here that I could staple, which you can see I had trouble with. So it's not comprehensive. It's not in any order. This is just to get you guys thinking. The big thing is, like, there are lots of different kinds of proof. Okay, like a lot more than newspaper articles and charts. There's coming up and inventing new proof is really where breakthroughs can happen. Okay, you've heard before, like, breakthroughs can come from format changes. Usually a big idea or a kind of big idea is a breakthrough. Like new forms of proof, if you can innovate that and it works, then that's a breakthrough. First one, you can see a picture there of Steve Jobs, which probably seems weird talking about copywriting, but I recommend if you can go on YouTube, look up some of Steve Jobs' presentations